Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping back down into the world of BTC, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we think is likely to happen next. Now as I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button, I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not consider subscribing? You can always unsubscribe later. And if of course you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, you're missing out on a trick. Check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check it out? Let's jump right down into this one and talk about what's been going on with Bitcoins. As you can see, we do like to keep a bit of a snapshot over the kind of videos that we put out and trying to make sure that the thumbnails kind of, represent the video to a degree. Obviously, they are designed to kind of make you kind of click on the video, bring new people in and all that kind of stuff. So they don't 100% represent what the content of the video is. It's about the subject, it's about the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And as we can kind of see here, we're talking about a trending move down. That's still very much in play. And pretty much actually everything that we talked about in yesterday's video seems to have been moving in that right direction. So we did move down before we moved on up. All of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday for the fourth wave, which we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about expectations of today so that we can start to see whether or not things are moving in that direction that we think they are. And I'm going to put another horizontal line just here. You can see we're having to record this one a little bit ahead of time. This is because I've got some more builders coming around to fix the studio today. So yeah, I'm going to probably an hour or so, an extra couple of hours earlier than we normally would be recording this video. So everything should still play out as expected. And yeah, let's just jump right down into it. We'll take a look at smart money in a moment, but we'll start things off with Elliott Wave theory. So following on from our yesterday video, we were talking about a brief move to the downside before we moved towards this 38.2%. So we were looking for a three-wave drop. We saw that right in there. And one of the things that we've got to be looking for here is because we had this 5-wave movement to the upside here, we got to end in 5 waves. If we start with 5 waves, we must end in 5 waves. So what we're looking for is we're looking for 1, 2, 3, down here for 4, and up into 5. Now the thing that is bothering me the most about this is a overlapping with wave 1, and that isn't really what I would be expecting to see. So there's something else going on here and we need to try to figure out exactly what's going on. Okay, so it could just be that we haven't yet actually finished with our structure for our B wave, and looking at it, it's possible that maybe we're going to start to experience an irregular flat correction, and that's going to trap out a lot of people. Let's go see what's going on. Let me just put the fib tool on here. Move this over to here. Yeah, we didn't even hit 1.618. Now, it's possible that it's a diagonal, so we can't completely rule out the idea that we, are not doing a 5-wave structure. It's just unusual to do that. I don't think we would normally expect it to do such a thing. It's possible, though. I don't remember any rule saying that we couldn't have a diagonal ending structure for our zigzag pattern. Nothing jumps to mind, but there's lots of different pieces of literature out there. I'm sure there's a piece of literature that says it's not possible, and I'm sure there's a piece of literature that says it is possible, but I don't think it's a hard and fast rule for a zigzag that it cannot contain a diagonal. So we'll run that as a possibility. But the other possibility that's jumping out at me is that we have ourselves a irregular flat situation. Okay, now an irregular flat situation would be 335. Okay, so it ends in 5 waves, does not start with 5 waves, and there is an irregular movement because we'd have an A wave that would come down, a B wave that would cross the origin of our A wave like this, and then a C wave that ends in 5 waves going deeper than our A wave. The other alternative is a running flat, but I think this is too deep of a movement to be left like that. Okay, so it's going to be interesting. We're going to see how this one plays out. The alternatives are, of course, that wave 4 is complete. And yeah, we can now kind of talk about a move to the downside. I don't think wave 4 is complete, but it is a possibility that I guess we should acknowledge as something that could be done. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves some options here. Okay, so the first things, and the reason that I do think this is potentially going to trap a lot of people is that we are looking for 5 waves to take us down towards our low of 26,383 to 26,842 approximately. Okay, so we are looking for 5 waves to go down there. However, it is still possible that we move up towards this 28,362. So we need to be really cautious here. Okay, so the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that even under a regular flat correction, we should stay above 27,125. Okay, so if we are to have a 5-wave drop in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we cannot cross this low because it would create an invalidation of our 4th wave higher. Okay, so anything lower than 27,125 confirms that we're in this final 5th wave movement to the downside. Okay, now if we stay above this area and start to move up, and we move up higher than this level here at 28,000, then we can confirm that we're still in the wave 4. Okay, so those are the two things that we're going to be looking for, is whether or not one of these lines is going to get broken. Until one of those lines are broken, we're in a state of a position here, or a state of play, that is incredibly risky because so many different things can unfold. So this is not a trading opportunity as far as I am concerned. This would be a high-risk gambling opportunity if you really, really wanted to try to do something. Now, I don't think that's a wise idea myself, so I would rather wait for the confirmation of the right direction and the right structure to emerge. Like I said, we've got a couple of different possibilities, and these are tricky ones at that. Okay, an irregular flat, a running flat, or even a potential to have started our final move to the downside, taking us into this yellow box area. Okay, but confirmation is really what we need. So for this, we know that there's a couple of different possibilities. We're either still in our wave 4 or we're in our wave 5. And there's a couple of different structures that could emerge here. So waiting for confirmation of that direction is probably a wiser idea. So if we were to trade this, how would we do it? How would I approach this? Well, I wouldn't be trading at the moment. What I would do is I would wait for one of these lines to get broken and then go in the direction that is the next move, right? So, for example, if we were to go up and we were to confirm that we're still in wave 4, then I'm going to be looking for a short position, and I'm going to be making sure that I have my stop loss above the invalidation of the wave 1, which would be 29,096, and I'd put my take profit down here in our yellow box area, getting at least 1.5 on the risk reward ratio. Okay, and I'll be looking at that. That's if we are to be in the 4th wave movement. I'll be looking for a good snipe entry on that one. Now, if we come down lower than 27,125, what would I be doing? Would I be waiting to come into our yellow box area? Okay, and I'll be looking at the internal structure on this one, and I'll be going long. And again, I don't really have a target necessarily at this point in time until we know where our 5th wave goes, but we'll be putting a tight stop loss on this one. I mean, incredibly tight, and I'll be targeting out the bigger wave 4 position, which will be 38.2% of this bigger movement. So wherever our wave 3 finally finishes, which is our 5th wave movement down here, then I'll be targeting out a long position for that wave 4, and it will be a really good risk reward ratio because I want a nice tight stop loss on it. Okay, but I don't know where that is until we start to come down and have a good structure to finish off that 5th wave movement. And then, of course, once our wave 4 is complete, we can go ahead and short for that bigger 5th wave movement. Okay, so ultimately, if I'm to trade this one, now is not the opportunity. Now is a bit of a gamble. So I'm going to be waiting for one of those scenarios to unfold. I'm either going to come up higher where I can short Bitcoin, or I'm going to wait for it to come down lower and I'm going to go long on Bitcoin. Okay, right now it's just not worth the risk. It's too high risk for the different kind of structures that are emerging. So that's Elliott wave theory. We know we're in this kind of state of play. We're in this impulsive 5-wave trend to the downside, but we just cannot confirm at the point of recording whether we are wave 4 or wave 5. So sitting back, sitting tight, waiting for confirmation is my next move. So as we come up over into our smart money concepts, what's going on? What do we see? Well, we can see that we are in a bearish state of play. In fact, we're dropping down quite nicely at the moment. We can see that we have our change of character to bearish. Okay, this happened from where our bullish state of play. But we haven't got a break of structure and we haven't got our CTS yet. Okay, so we haven't confirmed that things are in a nice steady downward trend from a smart money concepts point of view just at the moment. I do think that is going to come if we were to lose this existing low down here, which is a weak low at the moment. So I do expect that to occur. As I said, it's a big wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in my opinion, and we've got a fair journey to go still. So all in all, it's looking very interesting. It's looking pretty good. We have a little bit of buying pressure just down here on our discounted range, and we have our equilibrium way above now, even above our 250 EMA lines, strong high. Ultimately, smart money concepts is looking very, very bearish at the moment. This should be no surprise if you're familiar with the channel. We've been calling for a need of a correction for quite some time. And although we were trying to push it up, to be fair, we wanted it to kind of top out at 25. Once we moved past 25, I was really looking for 32,917, I think it was, because that was a nice resistance line. But it turns out that 31k was enough, and that's our resistance. So from a smart money concepts point of view, it does look like we've got a minor change of character to bearish here from a small minor bullish movement upwards, which is our 5-wave count. And so we are looking for a bit of a move to the downside here. It could be that wave 5 has started, but again, we don't know until we get confirmation on those things. But ultimately, yeah, everything on this is looking pretty bearish. There isn't terribly too much to kind of talk about from a smart money concepts point of view, because we've kind of filled out a lot of those fair value gaps that were left behind. We did leave a big one up here, which 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗧 smart money concepts indicator hasn't marked up for us, and I don't know why it does this. I mean, we did tap into it briefly, but we didn't fill it. So I still think this is an area that we're going to come back to at some later date, and it's going to be 29,000 to 30,000. I spoke about this yesterday. This seems like an obvious area for where we actually have a bigger B wave or wave 2 situation. So let me just draw on some Elliott wave here. So if we have a big wave 1, 2, all of this down here will be our big wave 3. We'll come up for a wave 4 and come down into a wave 5, right? It'll be something like this. This is the bigger play that I'm looking at. And then all of this is either an A wave coming up into this area for a B wave and then down into a C, or alternatively, this is all a big wave 1 and we come up here into our wave 2 and then come down. So under both of those scenarios, we are still moving up into this range, in my opinion. And it happens to be a fair value gap, but it's not being picked up by this 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗧 smart money concepts indicator. So the indicator is great. It really does help plot out a lot of the work, but it's not 100% perfect by any stretch of the imagination. As you can kind of see, we left this one behind and we tapped into it only very briefly, and yet it took it off the chart, which it shouldn't have done. We can see many times again where sometimes it creates these fair value gaps. We tap into it and then move on out. And the only difference between those and this one, I think, is that we closed inside it. And I think that closed position has basically knocked out the printing of the actual gap, of the fair value gap in there, the imbalance. But ultimately, yeah, everything on smart money concepts is looking okay. It looks bearish, and it looks pretty much like it is aligned to Elliott wave theory. So our expectations are that we're going to get confirmation on one of these directions. We're going to be able to trade that short or long, and we're going to be able to basically see this thing out for a little bit longer. But I don't think we're going to be moving down just consistently. They're going to have to experience some volatility. We're looking for a big wave 4 at some point. We're looking for a big wave 5, and then we're looking for a real good rally up towards that 29-30k area from our lows, which will probably be around the 25,000 by the time it's all done and dusted. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything plays out. But for now, that's kind of everything I have on Bitcoin on the smaller time frames. If you did find this useful, informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe. Don't forget to join us down in Discord. And guys, I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.